Hiya, welcome to May's Q&A. I hope you're feeling very well. I've got quite a few lovely questions from you lot, and so we will start with at Amanda Thorpe. And she asks, hey Rose, tips on nutrition to hydrate and encourage healthy skin, please. This 46-year-old face is in need of help. I know, mine too, but so there's lots of things you can do. Obviously, you can put stuff on the outside, but it's very, very important to put stuff on the inside. And things like good fats are really, really good for the skin. So nuts, avocados, omega-3s from fish are really helpful. You want to do berries, anti-inflammatories, things like, just brightly coloured berries, actually, the pinks, the purples, all of those things have got lots of nice vitamin C in, which are great for the collagen building. And make sure you're drinking a lot of water. Also, something called bromelain, which is found in pineapple, is really anti-inflammatory. So try those. But actually, water is a really important one that people forget about, or coconut water. So make sure you're hydrating a lot. Rachel Ridley Yoga. Following on from the skin question above, any tips on managing rosacea and dealing with perimenopause, menopause, weight gain? Thank you so much. Okay, so the rosacea one is very much anti-inflammatory. So be very, very aware of. So bromelain in pineapple would be really useful. Also orange veg and fruit. Things like papaya has digestive enzymes which are anti-inflammatory. Squash, all those sort of ones are really, really good. The beta-carotenes are great for the skin. It's their vegetable form of vitamin A, which you need for the skin. Try and think of cooling your skin down. So no sugars, no alcohol, no coffee, all the inflammatory things which will make it more angry. Make sure you drink lots of water as well. And then dealing with perimenopause, menopausal weight gain. You know what the thing here is, that your insulin, your body is not listening to insulin as well as it should or did before. And that's a fact of getting older. So one of the main tips I would say is to stop snacking. You know, there's a lot of people who, and it depends without obviously knowing your individual case, but snacking in between meals, sometimes people need that for balancing their blood sugar, you know, healthy snacking between meals. But in the case of when you're getting to that age of menopause type, your body's probably not listening to the insulin as well as it did. And if you keep on putting food in, you're keeping your insulin level up when actually you want it to drop off, so that it listens clearly when you eat and digests it better. And that should really help for a start. At O Shipping, what's your best recommendation to restore good gut health after many operations and antibiotics? Okay, well, after that many, if you've had lots of operations and antibiotics, it can be quite a slow process. So first of all, you want to make sure your gut's in good health. So take something like, it's really hard actually, because it depends what's going on with your gut. So we'd have to talk about bowel movements, and if you've got a good bowel movement, then you don't need to worry so much about the dysbiosis in your gut. But if you don't, which I would imagine is probably not happening, or probably a bit hit and miss your bowel movement, then you know you need to work on the integrity of your gut lining. So things like glutamine are really good for it, olive leaf are really good for it, slippery elm. Those things will help get your gut lining back, and then you need to re-inoculate the bowel with good bacteria. So things like Renew Life's probiotic, which I use a lot, or Simprove, or Culturelle, or you know, there's loads and loads of probiotics out there you can use. But you also need to make sure that you're giving good prebiotics to make sure the probiotic bacteria can grow. So things like onions, leeks, garlic, all those prebiotics, kefir, all the fermented foods will really help make the soil good for the bacteria to grow. But it can be a slow process, to make sure you just take time, keep at it, and it will get there. At KTPoo79, hi Rosemary, I'm approaching 40 and still have the odd hormonal breakout and thrush. Any foods to avoid, supplements that would help would be greatly appreciated. Okay, well, if you're still getting thrush outbreaks, that means there's a yeast overgrowth, obviously, I suppose, and that's a yeast candida. So you definitely, the thing to avoid, what candida loves, or any yeast absolutely loves, is sugar, and it will keep growing if you keep eating sugar. And I don't know if you're getting sugar cravings, but if you are, it's probably more likely the yeast that's giving you that sugar craving. It can be a very overwhelming urge, and if you have got an overgrowth of yeast, those little yeasts will be going sugar, 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 and then you start going, I need sugar. So sugar, you have to just cold turkey it. You have to cut out all sugars, I'm afraid, including beers and wines and all sugars everywhere for a good few weeks to get that back into check. There's a really good, Optivac have a great Saccharomyces boulardii supplement which will help to restore the balance, or just get a Saccharomyces boulardii. Something called G-Sol is really good from Nutri Advanced, if you know, but make sure you're cutting out the sugar. It won't do anything unless you leave the sugar out. Also be careful around fungus and fermented foods whilst you're trying to do this. Yeah, so try that and see how you get on, but sugar is the key with Candida, and you really want to get that in check, and also readjusting the balance of the bacteria and the yeast. At Hells_Burnside, I'm confused around rice and pulses. According to the Perfect Diet book, it says to avoid them. However, every other health advice seems to be they're good for you. Any clarity on this would be great. Thank you. Well, I mean, it depends. Yeah, it's very specific. So whatever works for you, I think is very important. I'm a big fan of pulses, beans and brown rice, wild rice. I think they're a brilliant. So let's talk about rice for a start. It's a really good slow burning fuel, really high in fibre. It's really good for the gut. It's got loads of B vitamin in it. Then on top of that, pulses and lentils. I don't know what other things you eat, but pulses and lentils are a brilliant source of vegetable protein. They're a brilliant source of fibre. I mean, I'm a big fan. They've got loads of minerals, loads of vitamins. People tend to leave them out because if the Perfect Diet is a low carb sort of paleo-ish diet, that might be why they're asking you to leave it out. I think a well-balanced, the more and more nutrition I do, a well-balanced diet, a bit of everything, and less sort of like neurosis around what you eat is a much healthier way to be, full stop. Like the relationships people have with foods these days is so complex that it's tearing people's minds apart. You know, they're like, I can't eat that. Just a bit of everything. You know, it's not rocket science to know what's good for you, but it also, you need to listen to your body, what works for you, would be my advice. Throw the book away. Well, don't throw it away, but you know what I mean. See what works really well for you and listen to what your body's like, how you feel well when you feel energised. And that doesn't mean donut and Coca-Cola for anybody who's trying to think that that's going to give them energy. Okay, next one. At Melissa_O'Connor_Reagan. Do you recommend intermittent fasting and protein cycling? Already whole food and mainly plant-based, but have gained weight recently and it won't shift, thanks. Well, kind of similar to the one before, actually. You listen to your body, what works for you. So I have obviously tried intermittent fasting, and I personally, for me, if I'm going to fast, I'd like to do 1 day fasts. However, it is also something else that is difficult to think about, you know, and I think it creates stress. Trying to do this thing that, if you don't find it easy, can make you very, very stressed. Now, if you're stressed, you will retain. Your body's not in a rest and digest, so you won't digest the food, you won't use it correctly, you might just end up storing it, which might, in the knock-on effect, is that you end up putting on weight when you're trying to lose it. So just sort of think about what your mind's doing while your body's trying to do this other stuff. What do I think about intermittent fasting and protein cycling? They're very, very useful tools if it suits you, and if you feel good on it, and if it's not taking up too much of your headspace and your pleasure of food and life and everything like that. There is a lot of science behind it, and they can be a good way of managing life and healthy eating and energy levels and all that stuff. But it's just whether it works for you or not. The weight gain thing, that might be from something else altogether. As I said, it might be from stress, it might be from hormones. But yeah, there you go. I hope that's all answers it. At Maze_16. Hey, are there any tips for a 43-year-old PMS, low mood, temper? I take magnesium citrate and vitamin B6 because I have read about them. Okay, well, you're absolutely right. Vitamin B6 is a brilliant thing for PMS. It's the go-to supplement, or vitamin, not supplement, vitamin for premenstrual tension and all the things that come under that umbrella. Perhaps you should try upping the foods that have that stuff, like salmons and shellfish and leafy greens all have good B6 numbers in them. And then I was thinking what other things could be causing that. Perhaps your liver's a bit sluggish. So the things you're talking about are hormones, and your liver deals with hormones. So perhaps like a little green juice a day, or a more complete B vitamin. So B complex rather than just isolating B6. You can find B complexes with a high B6 in it, and perhaps that's a more holistic, treating everything point of view, because perhaps it's your liver that's just like not quite getting it out. There are also really great herbs. Agnus castus is the one that I think is brilliant for PMS, so try that and see how you get on. But I definitely think perhaps upping greens, it feels like, would be a good thing to do. At Monstrous Vintage Kids. Hi, I am vegan and worried about getting enough calcium. Do I need to take a supplement or already take D and B12? You should be able to get enough calcium from what you're eating. So you need to make sure you're eating if you're going to be vegan, If you're going to be vegan, make sure you're eating lots of greens like broccoli, cabbage and okra are really high in calcium. They're a brilliant source of calcium. Almonds are really good in calcium. Sesame seeds are great for calcium and great for your bones. So make sure that you're getting a really well balanced diet. Get the nuts and get the seeds in, get the green cruciferouses in. Studies going on that think that the B12 that the bacteria in your gut generate is probably enough for even a vegan. So if you're feeling well, then I would carry on as you are. Obviously calcium you can't really tell your bone density unless you get it checked. I don't know how old you are, but maybe that's something you could do. At Hannah Polly 40, any food's good for arthritis? My partner has just been diagnosed at 35 and now on long-term medication. He leads an active life, which he's very keen to keep on going, thank you. So the go-to here would be something called glucosamine and chondroitin, which you might have already been told about by your doctor. Glucosamine is very brilliant at joints and cartilage, and the medical profession totally recognise it and often give it to arthritic patients. So you should definitely be taking that. It is accumulative, so you do need to take it. You can't take it once and then forget it. You need to take it every day, and the effect of it will start helping you probably in about 6 weeks in. And glucosamine and chondroitin, you can get them mixed together. There's one brilliant one called Chondrocare from Metagenics, which is quite expensive, but it's a really good one. But I would say that he just as a daily thing, maintenance, that should be definitely something you include. The other things you should sort of think about are obviously inflammatory things like dairies, and try it. You know, maybe deadly nightshades are causing issues, such as tomatoes, aubergines, white potatoes. They've got something in them which can irritate joints or can just irritate the body, so perhaps see if it helps to take those out or if it lessens the symptoms. And the other things that I was thinking of were cherries are really good because they take out the uric acid in the joints. Anything anti-inflammatory like pineapple, lots of greens, obviously keeping it very whole veg. Try not to have too much sugar, coffees, alcohol, all those things, or fats like animal fats would be very inflammatory in this situation. So good fish, omega-3s, they would be really helpful for you. So, and I hope that helps. At Supernova Protein, what are your top 5 based immune boosting ingredients? Plant-based immune boosting. Okay, so garlic is probably the number one. It's my favourite. It's everybody's favourite. It is nature's antibiotic. So that would be one. Rosemary is brilliant. Not me. I am, but not me. Rosemary, the herb, is fantastic. It's really antimicrobial, great for chest infections and throat. What else did I think? Oh yeah, chili is really good. Chili is brilliant because it's good for the immune system. It stimulates the blood circulation. Lemon is really good because it's great for your alkalinity. And then things like spinach are really good. They're great for iron, they're great for your blood. So, you know, something like spinach would be really good, or greens. They've got loads of B vitamins in them. I mean, there's loads, but those would be my top. I mean, garlic would definitely be there. I mean, something like ginger is also brilliant. Ginger's great for the gut, really immune supportive. So, yeah, pick turmeric. I mean, there's so many. It goes on and on. At E. Bodders. Hi, Rosemary. I have been diagnosed with a severe iron deficiency. What shall I eat? Thanks. Okay, so severe, I wonder how severe is, because iron is quite difficult to get back in if you're not, if you've got a severe deficiency, you should probably be supplementing it. Otherwise, blood building things, nettle's really good. So nettle tea, nettle soup would be fantastic. It's high in iron. Spinach is actually really good in iron. So you could try those. There are meats that are really high in iron. I don't know if you're vegetarian or not. Difficult one. If you're really deficient in iron, I definitely think you need to probably supplement, but obviously I don't know quite what the situation is. And then there are, if you aren't too bad, then there are things called like Spartone or Floridix, which are just tonics which will which will help you maintain your iron level. At Style Philosophy by Lou, any meal snack ideas for my boy who has CF and needs a very high fat diet? I would like that to be good fats. Yeah, sure. So, well, okay, I think things like avocados, eggs are good. They've got really nice fats in them. Avocados, eggs, nut butters, you know, sort of like a nut butter on toast would be really nice. Nut butters with an apple would be really nice. Nut butters off the spoon are really good. Nuts are really good, obviously also. And then fish. So in your situation, I would definitely get a wild salmon. So wild salmon has a very high omega compared to mercury. So you don't want any other more complications. So wild salmon would be really good, or mackerel or sardines. I would stay away from tuna, probably because it's quite high in mercuries and pollutants. But so those are the things. So fishes, and also olives are a really nice thing to have to snack on. And the other thing actually that's a really good way to get good fats in is to cook in really nice fats. So you could cook in coconut oil, or you could pour, flaxseed oil. It depends how his flavour, how his tasting is. But flaxseed oil or olive oil on top of vegetables or salad or anything is a really good way of getting good fats in that are anti-inflammatory. So I would try those and see how you get on. At makeup_by Del. Hi Rosemary, thoughts on infusions versus diet change for iron deficiency? Thank you. Well, if you are iron deficient, as I said to e-bodies earlier, then you probably need to supplement. So it depends on the situation. So an infusion wouldn't be a bad way of doing that. If you are really deficient, then it's quite hard to bring your iron level back up without some support. Otherwise, diet change is really good, and adding things, as I said, making sure you're eating, so actually when I said about eating spinach, make sure you eat it with some tomato or some vitamin C. It helps the iron get absorbed into the system. And then things like spartone are brilliant at just maintaining. So once you've got your iron level back to where you want it to be, and if you are prone to your iron level dropping off, then maintain it with a bit of spartone every day, just a little thing and have it, I don't know, just make sure you're having like a couple, if you're having hot lemon or warm lemon and water, put your spartone into it, not hot water, sorry, because otherwise it will kill off just warm spartone, lemon squeezed into it, and that's enough vitamin C to help the iron go into the system. Okay, but otherwise I would also really get checked, because low iron can make you feel really, really, really rubbish. At Becky Turkett, I think that's how you say it. How do you feel about nutrition DNA analysis, and if you would recommend it, which one would you recommend? Oh, I don't know. How do I feel about it? Well, for me, it's brilliant. For me in clinic, it's really useful. I don't know how I feel about it for general use, because it gives a lot of information that might be very confusing to some people. So, for example, it'll tell you that there are SNPs in your DNA which are prone to cancers, or barbecuing food, or all sorts of things that might be a bit worrying if you just read it on a page and just go, wow. Because I think there should be a level of explanation given along with a DNA test. Something that I really like called Thriva, who are very sort of they make it very doable and understandable, and it's not too complex to look at. There are things like DNA Fit, which you could use as well, but I think Thriva is quite nice because it keeps it simple and understandable. At Shepherd_KM, where do I change my terrible eating habits, as I have to lose some weight, as I have a fatty liver? Thank you. Okay, well, yes, it's really not that hard. I promise you, it's really not that hard. You just need to get into the mindset. So, first of all, make sure that you are eating fresh and whole food all the time. I think if you were to do that and eat 3 meals a day, then you would notice a big difference. And so no processed food, no high-fat food. When I say high-fat, I mean processed and bad fats, like fried chicken and fast food, basically. So make sure if you make everything from scratch, that would probably be the top tip of how you can control what goes in your mouth, and it would probably make the biggest difference if you make stuff from scratch at home using fresh ingredients. I think that would be a very, very good start. At Appleton4586, mood improving foods and supplements. Well, I think all foods are mood improving. Ice cream. What would I use? I think the mood improving foods. If you eat lots of fresh foods. I mean, avocado has got something called tryptophan in it, which is great. Turkey has that too. Almonds too. I think it might be what you leave out that might make a big difference. And obviously, I don't know what you're eating, but things like sugar, they might make you feel good in the short run, but in the long run won't. And also food for your gut. Your gut is very important to your mood. So if you're taking care of your gut by giving it lots of really lovely, easily to digest, good proteins, good fats, complex carbs, things that help you fuel your body and that are easy for your gut to break down, you will probably start to feel better. So I would try that first. I would try eating fresh food, and cutting out sugar. Probably think about reducing dairy. I mean, it's hard because I don't know what you're eating, so, but definitely taking care of your gut and taking a probiotic would probably help. Angie Dyer. Hi Rosemary, do you recommend working out on an empty stomach? I work out early in the morning. I follow the Tracy Anderson method. I do classes in very high heat and humidity conditions. Thanks a lot. It depends what works for you. I know that people who train, you should, if you're trying to train both ways, you should train without food in your stomach and then with food in your stomach. Well, not with food in your stomach, but you know, once you've eaten, just to get your body used to all eventualities. But I think it depends what works for you. Some people just prefer training without food. I'm not great at training with food in my stomach. I tend to get a stitch. So, but like if you're going for an endurance thing, you have to be able to eat because otherwise you won't make it. So it just depends. If it works for you, stick to it. Tatiana_Teb. Hi Rosemary, I have tibia fractures in a cast for the next 2 months. Eating well and taking supplements. Anything good for healing bones? Thanks. Hi Tatiana. Well, there is a brilliant homeopathic remedy called Symphytum, which is fantastic. It's called Bone Lift is the other name it's called, and that does exactly what it does. So I would definitely recommend that. And yeah, rest up, and I hope it gets better. Hey, you lot, that's it. I think yes, it is. So I will be back next month, and I hope you enjoy May. Okay, bye.